Well, hello again. Good to see you once again. Today, as promised, I have for you a system in regards to football betting, in particular the correct score market. And I have a staking system to show you to go with that, which, although originally the staking system was designed for horse racing, it seems to suit the correct score market in football very well, mainly because the correct score market has some quite good prices on it. Uh, and also you have a quite reasonable chance of hitting a reasonable number of winners as well. So that all works pretty well. Um, I will take you through some of the details on how the staking system works a little bit later in the video, but you can make this as simple or as complicated as you want, really. It can be as simple as just bet whatever the spreadsheet tells you to bet. It can be as complicated as understanding why things are changing. And well, I like to understand why staking systems work. I find that makes it much easier to work out whether they're suitable for different types of markets. But you don't have to understand all of the intricacies. And I don't want your eyes to glaze over when we do get to the point of explaining some of it, how it works. But fair warning. Your eyes might glaze over. You might just want to skip forward a couple of minutes at that point in time. The system that I'm looking at here, the staking system, is called real money staking. As I say, it was originally designed for horse racing. I like it because it's quite a very steady progression system, very slow and steady progression system. So it's quite safe in that way. So even if you do run into a bad run with it, you're still looking at some pretty safe numbers. But it's very good when you've got multiple selections in the one event. So that could be horse racing, that could be the correct score market in football, it could be any number of things. But when you have multiple selections in the one event, that's where it's really designed to work that way, and it works quite well there, especially if you can get some decent prices on a handful of your winners, then it really does work very well. So earlier in the week, I filmed a few little sessions in regards to betting this on the Euro semis, and also the Copa America, one of the semis there as well. So I'll go through that first, and then we'll have a look at the system in a little bit more detail. All right, so here's the real money staking spreadsheet. And as you can see, I've got this set up here for the Spain versus France semi-final in the Euros. And it's, at this point in time, flat staking more or less. It's $5 across the board on each of these selections. Now, I'm looking at the correct score market, and for the purposes of this, I've been looking at the 4 favorites in the correct score market. So I'm just going into Easy Bet Bot Deluxe here, and I'm using that to place the bets. And I'll just get to the Spain-France correct score market. It's a lot of markets in some of these soccer matches, especially when you have big events. You end up with a bazillion different markets. Some of the smaller football matches, have fewer markets. Now, Betfair by default shows you in scoreline order, which isn't helpful if you want to see, if you're trying to work out which one is the favorite. So this is where I find Easy Bet Bot Deluxe to be particularly useful, in that with one click of the sort button, I can get it listed in favorite order, and I can see exactly what I want there. So especially in this, where I'm looking at betting the top 4. Now I've set $5 as my default stake here, and I'm going to bet a little bit back, not at the odds that are available of 6.40 in this case. I'm going to bet at $6, and the $5 stake is already entered there, so we'll just place that. Now I like to bet just a couple steps back from where it's what's available, just in case the market moves a little bit. That way I'm going to get matched, even if it's not quite at that top price. In this case, I did get matched at the 6.40. I got matched at the 7.20. I think here we'll get the 8.40 as well, and even the $9, hopefully. Let's see. There we go. So we got matched as we wanted. So I'll just enter those details into the spreadsheet. Excel is a little bit funny with anything it thinks looks like a date. So if I just put a 1-1 for that score, it'll think I'm entering the 1st of January, which is not particularly helpful. So for those ones that look like a date, I actually just do a double dash. So in that case, the 1-1. I suppose I could do 1-1, but it's neater, I think, to have the dashes there. And yeah, just enter the details from Easy Bet Bot into the spreadsheet. So the score and the price, and then see how the bet goes. In this case, there were some goals very early on, and it really only took 25 minutes for Spain to score a second goal, as our highest score in this case was 1 for either team. Spain getting up to 2-1, well, that results in a loss for all of those bets, unfortunately. So if we go into the spreadsheet, we'll just mark all of those as a loss. And unfortunately, with the screen recording going, unfortunately it does slow down just a little bit the system for me, but not too much. But there you go, you can see losses across the board there, sadly. So then we move on to the next semi-final, and a number of you watching this are in the UK, so I probably don't need to tell you how this one turned out. But the Netherlands-England semi-final. And once again, we're looking at $5 across the board there. So once again, go into Easy Bet Bot and bring up the correct score market. Now, one side of my family is Dutch, so I was quite looking forward to this match. The Dutch, I was kind of hoping the Dutch would win, but which has probably put me offside with a bunch of people viewing now. But nonetheless, it was a good match regardless. Now, the favourites in the scoreline here, once again, we had 1-1, 0-0, 0-1, and 1-0. So once again, just put those on across the board there and see what we get. So we got 660 on the 1-all, 760 for the odds of the 0-all, 920 for 0-1, and 980 for 1-0. So we will just put those into the spreadsheet. As I say, there's also a cloud version of the real money staking system. So if you wanted to have something in a browser that you can access on your phone, for example, rather than having it in Excel, that's also an option. So those are in the spreadsheet. Let's see how that turned out. So as I say, 1-all would have been fine for me. Right on 90 minutes. England made that 1-2, and so of course those bets did not turn out the way I wanted to. And I was very happy when it was 1-0 early on, but that moment of jubilation at 7 in the morning here for English viewers was not quite so much a moment of jubilation for me. Especially considering it meant that both the Dutch were out and the bets lost as well. But I suppose the other side of my family is Scottish, so I can't be too upset about England winning, and we'll see how they go in the final, eh? With the Euros coming to a close, I decided to branch out a little bit, and the Copa America tournament had semi-finals as well. So that was later that morning. So Uruguay-Colombia semi-final, and again, we're looking at low scores in the favourites here. Now, just to be clear, quite a number of the games that I've had through the Euros, the low scores have not been favourite. They've become a little bit more favored as we've got towards the end of it, and it looks the same in the Copa America. But in this case, yep, once again we had low scores as the favored outcomes. Now this is one thing where I find Easy Bet Bot to be quite useful, especially compared to the Betfair interface, is if we have a look at this last scoreline coming up here, the 0-1, we've got a matched price there of 8.3096. Now it's useful to note that if you don't get matched at one price, you're likely getting matched at multiple prices, and the Betfair website will show you the average of that, but it generally rounds it to the nearest cent or nearest pence if you're in the UK. It doesn't give you all of the decimal places. Now, maybe it's neither here nor there when you're looking at such tiny fractions, but if you're betting more than what I'm betting here, that $5 each, it probably does matter a little bit. So I find that having the correct rounding out of the bot just makes the spreadsheet just a little bit more accurate. I like that, but maybe that's just me. So let's see how that turned out. And it was 0-1 as we approached the 97-minute mark. Colombia had this little bit of attack here to possibly go 2-0. Wild shot from way out there. And unfortunately, the host broadcaster then decided to go to a replay. They missed the full-time whistle during the replays. They came out of the replays. Everyone's going nuts. It was a 0-1 result. And the host broadcaster never showed a final score graphic. So flash score to the rescue, a 0-1 at full time. And that's a good thing because that was the highest price of the top four favourites, as you can see, paying the $8.30.96. So as you can see, that gets us up into a profitable position there and makes up for both of those previous results. So that's as simple as that for placing the bets. If we have a look at the spreadsheet itself, you can see here we've got over the course of the Euros, with most of these bets being $5 per scoreline, you can see that at the moment, after 38 bets, we're sitting at a profit of $113.30, which is quite a good result as far as I'm concerned. Now, if we have a look here, a lot of this looks like it's just level staking all the way through. It's not. It just looks like that because of the fact that I'm actually doing quite small bets. $5 is somewhere near the lower level of what the system really handles without a lot of movement. But you can see there's a couple bets here. This one here, for example, ended up as being a $6 bet. Which was good because it won as well, so slightly bigger bet, slightly bigger win. It looks like level staking most of the way through, but it's not. If I just make a couple changes here, just push everything up by 10 times. So if I have everything starting at $50, you can see it actually does increase quite a bit, and there is a bit more variability here, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, back to 55. You can see here, this is where the system is interesting. As you can see 56 here, then 51, then 55. A lot of the time you'll see that you're getting the same bet across the board. Here you've got 55 across the board, because they got out of sync here, so 57s and 51s. So how does all of that work? Well, let me explain some of that. So the basis of the system is pretty simple. You have a due column, which is pretty much the amount of money you're looking to try to make out of the system over its long run, and it can be quite a long run with this to get there, but that's the amount you're trying to make. So in this case, let's say $1,000. Your control number always starts at 100, And then, quite simply, you divide 1,000 by 100, so the due column by the control column, to get your bet. So in this case, we'd be looking at $10. So let's say we put on a bet of $10 on something that's at odds of $3.50. The bet lost. So in that case, we'll add $10 to the due column because we've spent that $10. So we're still trying to get that plus what we were originally trying to get. That means for our next bet, we have the due column divided by the control column. That gets us $10.10. However, we round down to the nearest dollar, and this is what makes this quite useful if you're looking at betting this somewhere other than Betfair, is that everything's in full dollar amounts or full pound amounts if you're in the UK. So you can bet pretty much anywhere with this. I like doing Betfair because I tend to get better odds there, but bet wherever you like to bet. The system will work pretty much any way you want it to. So we've got this next bet again, it's $10. Again, let's say we get a selection that's odds of $3.50. Let's say this bet wins. We make $25 profit. So we deduct that $25 of profit from the due column, which brings it down to $985. And we deduct the odds from the control column, but we're only deducting 2. Why is that? Because $3.50 odds is $2.50 to 1. And again, or 2.5 to 1 if you want to call it that way. And again, we're rounding down. So instead of 2.5, we'll round that down to $2. So we're deducting 2 from the control column, which brings that down to 98. So then the next bet will be 985 from the due column divided by 98 from the control column, gets you down to 10.05. So again, the bet is $10. Starts off fairly level. You will see it move over time. But looking at this, you can probably start to see where this can become problematic later on. If you have some wins and your control column starts to get to quite low numbers, if you then have a few losses in a row, your due column is going to grow, your bets are going to grow, and you're going to start betting some rather large amounts when you maybe don't necessarily want to. So, we don't do this on its own. I mean, you can, I wouldn't recommend it, but you can. Instead, we do it in multiples. So we have maybe 2 selections per event. Maybe we have 4 selections per event. But again, that doesn't quite solve this problem. Well, you've still got control numbers that are going to go down, due numbers that are going to go wherever they're going to go. So, you're still going to have the possibility that some of these bets are going to be interesting sizes. Well, that's true, but that's where the system has some safety features in place. The main one is that we do some averaging here. So let's have a look at later on in a series, for example, somewhere further down in a series. And you can see I've marked here a couple bets that maybe they won, if we're looking at those. You can see here we've got bets of $3 to start with, and we've got a one here that's $4, while the other one is $3. So the bets are out of sync there. So what we do is we do some averaging on the due and control numbers to bring them back in sync, and that brings our bet size back in sync across the board. So if you've got one column that's doing really well and one column that's not, we bring them back in line. A few other safety features. We have controls on what the control number can have as minimum maximum numbers. The cycle will reset if the due number goes below a certain threshold. And we will increase the control number if we have a lot of losses in a row so that we're not increasing the bet size too much. The manual that comes with the real money staking system explains all of this. I won't go into too much detail here because it's explained in the manual. But at the same time, it doesn't have to be this complicated. You just bet what the spreadsheet's telling you to bet. You don't need to understand all of this. But as I say, I like to understand it. I find it makes it easier to bet if I actually understand, and easier to have confidence in the system if I understand why it's doing what it's doing. So if we go back to the spreadsheet here, which I've put back to the $5 bets that it had, and that one stray $6 bet there. There was another $6 bet here somewhere. There we go. this one, but it didn't win. So, as I say, I've been doing the top 4 in the correct score market. You could just do the top 2. Now, on those same bets, those same events, if I'd been doing just the top 2, you can see it hasn't had as many winners because I have had a few winners in the 3rd and 4th favourites. But nonetheless, it's still performing quite well. You can see, in fact, over the course of that period of time, it would have had $209.10 in profit, compared to, from the top 4, which has had 113. So the top 2 in the correct score market has had fewer winners, but has made more money. I've been betting top 4, but I've been tracking top 2 just to see how it would go. So there are certainly options there. Now, you could do this other ways. I mean, if you had, I've been looking at doing this in golf as well. I only really got started on doing it in golf. Actually, let me pull up the golf spreadsheet, and I'll just show you that. So if we have a look at the golf spreadsheet, you can see I really only got started on 2 events, and I was betting quite low, only $2 per as my base bet there. Was looking at the favourites to win. You can see with golf you get a lot of really good prices, but whether they'll actually win or not is another matter. I suspect with golf you'd probably be better off looking at either the top 5 or top 10 market, and then if you get multiple winners in an event in that, you're doing very well, I think. And even the top 5, top 10 markets still have some pretty good prices, and you're going to increase the chances of winning, so I think that might actually be a better option. Again, I'd probably be looking at taking 4 selections in those, but your results may vary. I only looked at a couple there. I missed the start of one in the following week, so I didn't actually do anything. The British Open is coming up next week, so I may actually look at doing that for that one, see how it goes. Maybe look at the top 5. Other options, I suppose, with this would be, I've been thinking that when the NFL gets going again, I may look at picking a handful of teams just to win matches in the round, and just considering that all to be one event, and then, if multiple of them win, great. That's something worth looking at as well, and that's probably how I'd approach the NFL, considering that so many of those games start at the same time as each other. It would probably be better to do multiple teams winning as a selection. So that's the real money staking system, and I've been using Easy Bet Bot Deluxe as well for that. I will have a bet on the final of the Euros. To the English viewers, good luck. I hope it goes well for you. It's been a while, I'm sure, so certainly, regardless of what happens, it looks like it should be a very good match, so looking forward to that. So that's one way of betting the correct score market. I'm finding that works quite well for me, and I'm certainly looking forward to continuing that through the Olympic soccer or football tournament. Sorry, every time I do a soccer or football video, people correct me. It's not soccer, it's football. All right, I'm sorry, it's football. So I'm looking forward to the Olympic football tournament for this, and certainly when the European major tournaments start up again, I think that's going to be quite good for that as well. So certainly we'll see how that goes. Links, of course, as usual, below to the real money staking system and Easy Bet Bot Deluxe, and hopefully that's of interest to you. And until next time, good luck on the punt.